6.5%, was it? Is that what the current odds are of the Stanley Cup?
Well, and if you look at the round-by-round progression, the Stanley Cup favorite is the Vancouver Canucks.
Like, what a time to be alive!
Talking you through every goalie controversy, scoring slump, and draft lottery bust, this is the C4 Podcast on CanucksHockeyBlog.com. Here they are, the best starting lineup we could afford under the salary cap. Chris, Matt, Anna, and Adam.
Welcome to another episode of the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast, brought to you by the Full Press Coverage Network and CanucksHockeyBlog.com. I am Chris at Lightforce, joined virtually by the surprisingly bright and cheery Anna Forsyth of the Forsyth 03. Welcome, Anna.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, we're both a little tired, so we were hyping each other up. So yeah, I'm here. Like, it's
You're
Sunday,
always
but
here.
we're like, yeah. I'm trying to give some energy. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I believe the appropriate term in the Smealosphere about hyping someone up is pumping their tires.
Right. Well, consider my tires pumped.
That's good. I'm glad that your tires are pumped. Mine have a slow leak. I mean, you could pump all you want, but the air just keeps,
We'll try and
coming
tape
on
up
out.
that puncture, I guess. I don't know. I feel like we're already off the rails.
When are we
And
not
on
off
wheels.
the rails?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this podcast would be far better if we simply embraced the fact that the rails are no longer necessary because they were simply there for show.
Yeah, where we're going, we don't need no rails.
Damn straight. Speaking of going places, the Vancouver Canucks aren't.
Been places.
Yeah, well, they've actually, yeah, you're right. They have been places. They continue to travel, throughout the Eastern Seaboard and around the NHL. Yeah, they've been going places in the literal sense. In the figurative sense, not so much. Other people going places. Jack Rathbone, peace be with you. Jack's journey as a Vancouver Canuck and the constant conversation as to his development is going to happen elsewhere now because he has been traded. Yeah, I mean, it's the same old, right?
Road trip keeps rolling. I mean, the Canucks are doing things and stuff. Not always good things and stuff, but some good things and stuff. So
Is that the technical term? Things and stuff.
things and stuff. Yeah.
Is that what Rick Tocchet describes it as? Is things and stuff?
Yeah. It's
in the
like
room, guys.
It's
you're
an
doing
advanced-
things. You're doing stuff.
To be honest, you can imagine hockey coaches saying stuff like that. They're not always the most.
I could totally imagine that.
Yeah. Verbose or yeah. Anyway, yeah, those are definitely advanced stats, things and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's the advanced analytics side of our show.
Well, to be off the rails, I did see a tweet today that was saying I love advanced stats, and it was a tweet about how many passes and yards, and I don't understand NFL things, but that Travis Kelce had done whilst Taylor Swift was there and when she was not there.
Well, and considering how deep the sports betting crowd gets, that type of statistic probably carries water.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, anywho, don't imagine Taylor's going to be coming out to watch hockey, but should she, the NHL will, I'm sure, love to have the heat that the NFL is getting. But no, we're here to talk about the Vancouver Canucks, so let's do that in Rewind. Before we dive into the week that was, as far as the Vancouver Canucks had been playing, let's dive into the week that was as to the Vancouver Canucks making a deal. Anna, if you were given one guess as to what team the Vancouver Canucks would look to make a deal with, would it be that hard?
No, it was not surprising to see that the Canucks got into another handshake with the Pittsburgh Penguins, sending Mark Freeman to Vancouver, or not to Vancouver yet, but to the Vancouver Canucks in exchange for Jack Rathbone and Carl Plastick. Yeah, not shocking. Jim loves his new trader. Jim loves his deals with Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. And I guess it helps if you're familiar with a player, and it helps the player settle in. if they're kind of familiar with maybe some of the people in the environment. But yeah, it is funny.
Yeah. Pittsburgh's like the new Florida.
Yeah, it's true. Florida was our playmate for a while. Yeah, like there aren't any goalies that we can take from Florida right now. So yeah, why not Pittsburgh? It did I did hear him being interviewed today, and Mark Friedman, and he said that it was nice to have people he knew on the team.
It's always nice.
Yeah, help you settle in.
Yeah, and for those listening to this wondering how we feel about the deal, I don't think, at least speaking for myself, I have feelings like, Jack Rathbone was not going to make this team based on where he sort of existed in the organization. I mean, you can argue to the end of time as to whether or not his development was stymied here in Vancouver, if he had gotten a fair opportunity or too fair of an opportunity, depending on what side of the glass of water you happen to hang out on. But this is a minor league prospect for prospects sort of deal where the upside that Jim looked, or Patrick, or whomever makes the call on this type of situation sees in Friedman over Rathbone and Vlasic.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, honestly, I think what I saw almost universally as the reaction on Canucks Twitter from the deal was Jack Rathbone seemed like such a nice guy, and media members saying he is such a nice guy, he deserves another shot. No one was saying, we should have kept him or anything like that. He seemed like such a gentleman, such a nice guy. Good family boy, and I hate using that term, but yeah, very supportive of his family and his younger brother who had learning difficulties. Seems like an all-around pleasure to deal with, but yeah, didn't quite work out, and there were various reasons for that. I mean, had a few injuries. He had a very scary injury in a Baby Canucks game I saw a couple of years ago, which didn't end up being that.
It looked a lot scary.
Yeah, it looked a lot scarier than it was, but still you have to think that...
That was the one in Bakersfield, wasn't it?
Yeah, where they had a stretcher on the ice within a couple of minutes of the game starting. But yeah, I really hope he does well in Pittsburgh and gets a shot with a big club. But as far as Mark Friedman goes, he's been here a couple of games and already showed up a bit, and I think he's already looked more stable than some of the defense.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from the guy, but there is a bar that was relatively low to get to. One of the additional pieces we haven't spoken about, Ty Glover, comes from the old country. Which is
Does he actually?
Yeah, he's from the Salford, England native, originally signed. Salford, whatever. Y'all speak differently over there.
Why is he called Ty? That's such an American or North American name. Wow. Yeah, he's actually from Salford. That's bizarre. That Salford is where the BBC is in England now. It's just outside. Yeah, it's just outside Manchester.
Going right back off the rails, but again, I think we've agreed there are no rails. There is something about the BBC News theme.
Oh, it's a banger.
That there's a Dua Lipa remix that some person did during COVID with the BBC theme. That is my ringtone. That's
so funny. I think it was a weather man got famous during the pandemic for playing his drums along to the theme. He was a BBC weatherman, but he did that as during the pandemic, and I think he ended up doing that for 12 hours for a charity, playing the drums. But yeah, it's a banger.
Yeah, no, when
I have to search out this remix though.
When we were going to the old country, prior to the pandemic, anytime the news would be on, I'd be there and I'd be bouncing and right, and Marnie would be like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "It's the." I don't know what's going on. It's the music.
Pause the podcast right now, everyone, and listen to the BBC.
Right?
BBC
and it's timed like the doot doot doot, Like it's just
Yeah, it's so good.
There are different themes. Like as a Canadian, there's the CBC National and what have you. Like these sort of, but nothing beats the BBC.
Yeah, but anyway, that's where Salford is. It's called Salford Keys, just outside Manchester. It's actually a really nice area, but they're trying to it was former just industrial land, so they're trying to kind of develop some culture there. There's a theatre and stuff.
Interesting.
Anyway, but I didn't know he was from the UK. That's cool.
Well, there you go. And while nothing beats the BBC theme, the Philadelphia Flyers beat the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah,
bringing it back home.
Yeah, I like it. It's good. Yeah. I did not see any of the game. I listened to the call and then watched the highlights, read the recap. But yeah, it did sound like it was ugly hockey and could have been a lot uglier if it wasn't for one Thatcher Demko.
Yeah, I didn't get, because it was an earlier start, so it was a 3 p.m. Pacific, which made it a little bit more complex for me with Baby Force and all that. But I had missed the first period when all the scoring took place. One goal with skaters on the ice, and the other with one penalty shot.
Yeah, which, I mean, the things that don't get awarded as a penalty shot, and that was awarded. Okay.
Yeah. But, to summarize the game, the Philadelphia Flyers beat the Canucks 2-0 in a game where the Flyers outshot the Canucks 42-26.
Yeah.
I think that tells you enough about, one, Thatcher Demko doing exactly what is likely needed of him to ensure the Vancouver Canucks get a win, and the team in front of him doing absolutely nothing to help to that and get themselves to that goal. The second and third period, the Canucks were messy. I don't know any better way to describe it. They didn't seem to have a cohesive idea of how to play the game when they were on the ice.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounded ugly, honestly, and what I saw of it was ugly. You're kind of saying Thatcher Demko doing the job he needs to be, Canucks need him to do, but the fact that they're Canucks are 3 games into the season and already needing him to do that, obviously you need a goalie to steal games for you, and maybe Thatcher wasn't quite at his best at doing that the last year or so, but this early against Philadelphia,
yeah, and there were moments in the third period where the Canucks might have had an opportunity to get back into this game. So, for instance, there was going to be a penalty against Mark Stahl for boarding, but Noah Juleson came in and proceeded to even that up. And again, I get the whole stand up for your team, and every player's got each other's back. But this is the point of a game that maybe that's not the right spot to be doing it. It's not blown out. We're not talking about 4-0 or anything. It was 2-0. A power play goal, if the Vancouver Canucks were able to have scored one, makes the game a whole lot different. And then only 40 seconds later, you got Lafferty and connecting and getting into it, and it just the Canucks started to become a little unhinged. But at the end of the game,
yeah,
when Rick was asked, how would you describe the effort? And he pulled out the 4-letter word on game, was that 4 of the season? 3. Game 3 of the season. Soft.
Yeah. I honestly, I really liked how Rick Tocchet spoke, because he said also that he doesn't like saying that, which I kind of appreciate as well, because I think he wants to say that he doesn't like, belittling players, and he doesn't want to make it some hyper masculinity thing, but it was not, the effort wasn't there. And I did like how he was kind of brutal, maybe not brutal, but he was upfront. He was definitely honest, and maybe 3 games in, that shouldn't be necessarily how you need to handle things with your players, but I thought it was nice to see.
So I bring this up only because I'm curious if 3 games in drop, I agree how he delivered the message seemed to be well thought through. but you've done it the third game into the season.
Yeah.
This is not the type of message that you can continue to drop on a regular basis.
Yeah, where'd you go in Act 2? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
I
that's
agree.
not taking away from the effort. Like, I described it as messy, as if the Vancouver Canucks had seemed to lose how to cohesively play the game of hockey. Like, I don't think I'm being gentle about this. However, soft carries with it a significant amount of weight within the code and within the context of the culture in the game.
Yeah, it's hard because I just want to say, like, he's, like, was he wrong? Of course not. Like,
No.
no. But, like, is it the best way to handle things? I guess we have to trust his experience and his knowledge of the room.
You're talking about you and I as, like, podcasters. We know enough.
But, like, I guess what I'm saying is that he knows what works for his team. And there's lots of people, and I've heard it said by hockey players, especially, like, maybe those who played under Torts, you know, that, like, you know, how do you like being called out in public? They'll be like, it sucks, but, like, that's what we needed to hear, and, so, yes, I appreciated the honesty, and the way he was saying that publicly, but I think time will tell whether that's the kind of methodology that works with this group.
Fair. So, did the team heed the message of their head coach when they rolled into Tampa Bay? In theory, I'd have to suggest they did. You saw a far better effort from this team in a 4-3 loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning. On paper, the Lightning are the better team. And on paper, the Canucks lose this game. So the result, being as it is, isn't one that would be too upsetting. Again, got significantly outshot. This time, goaltending, I mean, it wasn't as, like, phenomenal against the Flyers. It was enough. But then you also had Tyler Myers putting in an effort.
Yeah. I mean, Tyler Myers was certainly visible during the game, as he often is, but, like,
was he
made his mark on both ends of the ice. Yeah, and I was just thinking this when you brought up Noah Jolson, talking about the game against the Flyers. Like, that was totally, like, that really shows his inexperience in the NHL. Like, because you don't take that penalty, right? Like, you develop better hockey sense. You think that he might be slightly out of his depth right now. Hopefully that will change. Maybe he'll play more in the AHL, and next time he comes up, he'll be better. But, like, the not panicking in those situations is what you develop over years in the league. Do you see where I'm going with this?
So Tyler Myers, calm, cool, collected, and in control.
Here's one cool cucumber. Very long cucumber.
I mean, to be honest, that pass to Stamkos to help set up Nicholas Paul in the first goal of this game, beauty.
Yeah, it's just, that's, like, we've talked about it a lot. Him being tall, as basic as it sounds, does make every defensive mistake more visible. Him being paid $6 million a year, like, makes every mistake he makes more frustrating. But it's gotten to the point now where it's just like, if you're $1 million, like, defenseman, we might understand those mistakes more, but you'd still be like, this guy is a liability. Staple him to the bench, get him out of here. Like, this guy is not good for the team.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately for the Vancouver Canucks, that's never going to occur because they just don't have the depth, and you don't do that to a $6 million guy. But Nick Paul gets the goal, and the Canucks, though, hold on, get into the first intermission down just one, and come out in the second hot. Like, how hot? Well, Brock Besser, who himself is on a heater, 14 seconds into the period, notches a goal, ties it up. And Tyler Myler is equally hot for reasons, scores another, like, 30 seconds or so later, Canucks have a 2-1 lead. Oh my goodness. They're doing it. They're doing it, Anna. They're doing it. The problem is the period had, like, 19 more minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember now. Did Myers tackle Petey on the Isamont or Kucherov goal?
I think it was the ice. No, I think it was Kucherov goal. The
Kucherov?
Isamont, the Isamont one was. I forget who it was missing their assignment, but completely. It wasn't Tyler Myers. It was someone else missing their assignment and kind of letting Isamont slowly drift into space.
Regardless, what we're getting at here with Myers is that he went to take his player out into the boards and not only failed to accomplish task number 1, took Petey out instead. And in doing so, provided a whole lot of open ice for 5 Lightning skaters to utilize against the remaining 3 Canucks on their feet.
Yeah, I mean, it's like another level when he's not just making his own mistakes, but taking other players that might help remedy those mistakes out of the game.
Yeah. Kucherov gets another early-ish into the third, and then in panic time, JT Miller scores a goal, gets the Canucks within 1, just over a minute left, and unfortunately for them, that was it. They lose 4-3. But you can't argue the effort that the Vancouver Canucks put in from an offensive standpoint. And if we go back to what you and I had believed at the start of the season, where Quinn Hughes is a forward, I mean, they're trending in the right direction, right?
He can do both.
Yeah, well,
he can definitely do both. And yeah, talking about effort level, JT Miller has just no quit on this season, no quit on games, and yeah, it's good to see.
But while Quinn Hughes does not get bumped up to the forward lineup, he does, however, find a way to contribute to the offense from the blue line, because when they go to them, was it with the Panthers playing Sunrise, Florida?
Near Miami, I guess.
Yeah. Anyhow, Quinn Hughes opens the scoring with his first of the season, halfway through the first period. And on the power play, great. Canucks actually scored the first goal in a game in forever.
Yeah.
I think did they score at their home opener? I think they opened scoring first.
Yeah, they did. I mean,
and then
Edmonton scored one goal. So
no, but then since then, I don't think they've actually scored the first goal in any of the subsequent games.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's been 5
Yeah, whatever.
weeks.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
Same thing. Not even 6 weeks, but the road trip feels like it. The thing is the Vancouver Canucks are so giddy. Oh my God, we scored a goal. We scored the first one of the game. Hoo-wah! Oh, what? Sorry, you dropped the puck?
Yeah. It was a common theme, like yesterday in my sporting endeavors between the Arsenal game and the 2 Canucks games that I saw yesterday, including the baby Canucks games of, maybe losing concentration.
Well, Barkov notches his first of the season to tie it up. But the thing about the Canucks against Florida is, again, they go into the second intermission. They're like, guys, let's get this out. It can't be too difficult. Carson Soucy scores himself a goal, followed by Petey. Again, moments later, the way goals are being scored in this game is they'd happen, and then there'd be a long stretch where nothing was happening. Because going into the third period, the Vancouver Canucks failed to realize that, you got to keep playing hockey here. Sam Reinhart scores twice to put them into a, was it 3-3 tie at this point?
Yeah.
Then Kuzmenko scores, and then Besser into the empty net. Canucks win 5-3. But I'm not unhappy with the effort that I'm getting from a team out of Florida. Like, okay, they did better in Tampa. They started to improve in Florida, and they found a way to win. I don't care if it's like 10-9 for the Canucks. A win's a win, right? But I don't know how sustainable
That's
this
the key word
will be.
with Vancouverites. After all, sustainability is like in our nature. It's something of a concern. But yes, it does worry me that they will just shut off for periods of the game, and it's just like, do we have the offensive talent to resurrect games? Sure, but whether you can consistently do that, all the time. Yeah, that's the tricky thing, because it's just like you need those middle guys to be putting that effort in, because Petey's going to do it a lot of nights. Quinn's going to do it a lot of nights, but it's not going to be every night.
Can Brock do it every night? Because he seems to be.
Seems to be. In Brocktober, as Dave Tomlinson called it. Like,
Well, okay. My problem with Brocktober is that's a month. Brockvember doesn't work.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, well, he's going to be good for
Brocksember? Brockuary. Brock Brewery. Like, no, I mean.
Yeah. It's, I will say Dave Tomlinson's, like.
Can't wait for that Brayprol hockey. Straight into Bray.
Yeah, we're hoping for some Bray hockey.
Wrap it up in Bruin.
Meaningful games in Brock. That's the dumbest thing we've ever said. Like the fact you went
No,
through
I mean,
we've
said some dumb stuff. We've said some really dumb stuff.
That's true.
On the
I don't
show.
want to actually challenge people to find dumber things we've said. Actually, I do know the dumbest thing we've said, and I'm not going to bring it up again. But yeah, Dave Tomlinson, I want to give him patience, but he's definitely finding his feet. They're definitely finding their chemistry there. And him and Shorty were interrupting each other a lot on the broadcast on Saturday. So, but I also know that it's never going to be Shorty and Cheech, so we've got to give them some time to create something different.
Well, it won't always be, Shorty and DT. I mean, we're going to see Ferraro. Like, Ray's going to swing through.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what that is. But yeah, I do think Dave Thompson clearly writes stuff down that he's going to use. And that was one of them for October. So he's working on his spontaneity for sure. Anyway, Brock Besser, yeah. I mean, he was good again. Like,
he was. He's playing inspired hockey. And if he continues to play this inspired hockey, this was sort of the Brock that I think we had expected. Maybe 2-ish, 3 seasons prior, and then to continue, we've just been missing it. But then also look at what the guy has had to go through during that same period of time.
Yeah.
From what I've now read.
Even on the ice as well, like his injuries have been.
Yeah, and he's really got his eyes forward now.
Yeah.
What has happened has happened. It's behind him. He's focused and really, no, I want to say reinvigorated, because I think that does a disservice to everything that he went through. But he is focused on moving forward.
And I will say, just speaking of middle guys, like Niels Högland has had himself a solid, if unspectacular, road trip as well. So I do think that the rehogging is happening, and it continues to happen. Like, literally, Anthony Beauvillier, I've made a mean tweet about him, asking, like, what is he doing on this team? Like, and not as a question, but literally, what is he doing? Not a lot.
Well, at the end of last season, Tocchet didn't like his play.
Right. I mean, one, he's having great hair, and that's not to be sniffed at.
No,
but,
so check mark.
Check mark. But, like, and then he provided an assist on the goal. So
Check
maybe
mark.
I just more mean tweets.
Well, his production isn't anything like it was last year, because
No.
I mean, his production seemed to be more than enough to replace what had departed for him in Bo Horvat. But Tocchet was saying, don't like the way the kid's playing.
Yeah, Rick Tocchet is
So
a
maybe
hard man to
Tocchet-
impress.
No, but maybe Rick knew something that you and I, as Canucks podcasters, had overlooked. Because we look
True,
at so
he wasn't
much.
scoring the right way.
The right way.
But yes, I would prefer that Beauvillier, that not scoring the right way, to come back.
Yeah. Speaking of the right way, next week, the Vancouver Canucks will wrap up their road trip in Smashville, taking on the Predators on Tuesday. They then go.
6:15. Sorry, that's just such a random time.
Whatever. I mean,
It's
NHL.
not 3 p.m. So I'm happy.
well, so part of me wonders, what does Sportsnet have on that requires that additional amount of time?
Yeah, and
Is it like
quick
baseball or what?
sidebar on the rails. Like, Canucks have a decent comeback effort in Florida. That was a fun game, and then literally as soon as it finished,
Baseball.
It was how does this affect the Leafs? It was right into overtime in Toronto.
Oh, I don't. Sorry.
It didn't last very long.
I didn't last that long.
Yeah, but it was funny. It was just like not even Shorty couldn't even take a breath before it was like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
but yeah.
There's only one team in Canada. It's the Toronto Maple Leafs, and then there's a bunch of other teams that allegedly play.
Blue Jays
come to realize
still
that.
playing baseball? No. Okay.
The blue. Okay,
Sorry.
you want to get the full Toronto experience out of any sport? Watch how the Toronto Blue Jays perform in the wild card games.
So
they Toronto Maple Leafed up the first round. So
it was 4-1 type experience.
No, so in the wild card, it's best of 3. So it's not like it's best of 3, best of 5, and
it's
then
like the AHL playoffs where they do random numbers.
Yeah, it tiers
generator.
up. But yeah, I mean, weird decisions. Got a pitcher who's throwing a heck of a game, and allegedly the analytics said take him out. Let's bring in another guy cold out of the bullpen. He's actually a starter, but we're going to put him into a relief role in a game as to which our current pitcher is throwing real well. Boom, we're losing. Like, next batter. So, yeah, anyhow, we're not here to talk about the Toronto Blue Jays, the Toronto Maple Leafs, or anything to do with the Toronto. Well, Nashville on the road, but then they come home for 2 games. They play on Friday as well as Saturday. Friday night against the St. Louis Blues and Saturday against the New York Rangers. What I find so interesting, and again, this is just more a microcosm of how Vancouver markets itself. They've been advertising the daylights out of the New York Rangers coming to town on the 28th. You wouldn't have known St. Louis is here the night before. I haven't got no emails to get tickets to that game.
Cup champions.
But I've been asked to go and get tickets to New York on a regular basis in the inbox.
Yeah, I find it absolutely hilarious, just like the emails I get from the Canucks, just like how they're marketing a certain game. It's just like they'll find any way. They'll be like, the return of a player that barely played for us. So, yeah. I think... What game am I going to? I don't know. I think it's the return of Bo Horvat that I'm going to anyway, but that's fair enough. But
is that a Larsheider's game?
Yes, I believe. I don't have any extra tickets right now, but I probably...
Well, you do have your Larsheider's tickets.
Oh, no, I don't currently have them. I know which ones they are, and I'm going to pay for them next week, but literally it was announced like... Thursday or something? Wednesday or Thursday last week.
Cool.
So,
cool.
Standard. Yeah, the Islanders is my first game. November 15th.
I mean, that is cool, but cool.
Yeah. Classic Canucks. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a tough ticket to get these days. I mean, the barn's pretty full. Fans from the opposition.
Anything to go by. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, like I say, and
I mean,
so I'll get back on the rails in a second, but like when we had the home opener, I was like, just remember, anytime you hear a Let's Go Oilers chant, that is code for I couldn't stand living in Edmonton. Like, literally, the people, the Oilers fans that fill up Rogers Arena are not people coming in from Alberta.
Well, they are coming in from Alberta.
Yeah, just very slowly.
Yeah. I was going to mention I shouldn't give the Canucks grief for a barn that has a few empty seats, because if you saw pictures of the game on Saturday night in Sunrise, Canucks are doing a little bit better than that.
Yeah. I mean, Cricket World Cup is in India. With 160,000
people show up. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say that pretty empty barns over there, considering how popular cricket is.
Okay, how many showed up? Like 110,000? Oh dear, there's 50,000 empty seats.
No, it was pretty empty, like apart from India-Pakistan games, obviously.
Okay.
Because they only play each other in World Cups. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I get your point. I just want to make sure those who don't quite understand, I think one of the largest like stadiums in the world is a cricket stadium in India.
Yeah, and one in Australia too. Both
Yeah.
were
Although
big.
I think like my father-in-law was telling me the largest is in North Korea.
The largest,
The largest
stadium?
stadium. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did look that up.
So,
Maybe we'll visit one time.
sure. Send me a postcard. We're going to take ourselves a short break. You're listening to the C4 Canucks Hockey Podcast, brought to you by the Full Press Coverage Network and Canucks Hockeyblog.com.
Take hitting out of the game. You can't hit anymore, so don't do it.
The unsportsmanlike conduct, I want to get an explanation on.
No kidding.
Because how do you get suspended for unsportsmanlike conduct?
Plus interference. There's no interference there. He had the puck.
Now, Madison never ever did that before. Now, why did he do it? Because he was mad.
Well, your early favorite for the Calder Trophy, that's for sure. Elias Pettersson, you might even say your early favorite for the Hart Trophy.
Just to get back to your question, Elias is going to play plenty. He didn't play. He's going to get a lot of power play time. And, yeah, I'm concerned about our offense. We lost 200-point players, and we've got to find a way to score.
I'm going to hijack half full, half empty. Because, you wrote a phenomenal rundown here. But there was something else that I had actually wanted to talk about.
Go off, King.
Have you read PJ, a friend of the show, Patrick Johnson's conversation or article in the conversation that he had with Stan Smeel?
I have not. I guess that's on the province, so.
It is, yes, the province.com.
That is who PJ writes for, so unsurprising. I have not. Please enlighten me.
So first of all, it's a phenomenal read. I mean, a lot of what PJ does, especially this type of content, I really enjoy. He is really good at that craft. But in hearing sort of Stan's description as to sort of how his role has evolved over a handful of years here, and sort of as well with the glimpses to how he became a Canuck and what he was like as a Canuck. And it gave me pause to consider my initial thought, which was when Stan announced that he was moving into more of an official alumni role as opposed to a advisor to the POHO or whatever he was previous. Mm-hmm. Was that his decision or not?
Yes.
PJ's article has me believing it was Stan's.
Which is comforting, right?
It is. I am still not fully convinced because everything that I've ever heard about Stan Smeel is that he is such an upstanding fellow that if you did him dirty, he'd get you back by never doing you dirty in return.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm a little skeptical on that.
Yeah, would we know if it wasn't his decision? Maybe not. But things get out. Like, people, even if we didn't know, I'm sure someone in Vancouver media would.
Yeah. So if you haven't read the article, please go give it a read. It's a great read. Gave me some insight as to what Stan had been going through over the last few years. Like I wasn't aware his wife had passed away after a battle of cancer. And, one of the reasons why he sort of stayed involved and had continued to sort of work, especially during these turbulent times with the team, was his wife saying, "Don't stop because of me." And again, that adds sort of context to what we see from this organization. And like, I remember when Stan came in and says, "I don't like what I was seeing. This had to stop. Like, this is not the Canuck way. And we're going to make changes." It's like, holy heck, man. Like, you got much more important stuff to have to deal with. And yet here you were sorting that out.
Yeah. What a dude. This is partly off the rails, but just speaking of PJ, I just read a book very much steeped in Vancouver history. Mm-hmm. And there's a source that's called Patrick. And I'm just like, I bet this is PJ. Like, PJ's just been... It's called East Side Story. It's the story of the Peony. Highly, highly recommend it for any Vancouverites. If you've grown up here, I'm sure it would be very special to you. If you haven't, it's a lot of fun stories. But yeah, I don't know. There's just something about it that I was like, I bet this is actually PJ giving the information of when he was a kid.
Was he an East Side kid though?
No, he's a West Side kid.
He was a West Side like me.
He's definitely a West Side kid. Like, he went to Kits with Wyatt, but I don't know. I could still see him. He's just so Vancouver.
Yeah. Bringing it back to the Canucks were at one point owned by the Pacific National Exhibition.
Yeah, there was a good... Honestly, like, Canucks don't feature much in it. They get a passing mention, but the author's definitely more of a CFL and soccer guy, so that gets more attention, but...
Well, in the more modern era, at like Empire Stadium was a thing.
Which is named after the Empire Games. Did you know that? Which
were hosted here in Vancouver, hence the stadium.
Yeah.
Hence was it the 1 minute mile and the...
Yeah. 4 minute mile.
4 minute mile, whatever. 1 minute mile, 4 minute mile. I don't run.
I think, yeah.
For me, it's like a 1 day mile. So
yeah. No, it's absolutely fascinating, that book, and really goes into some of the darker moments in Vancouver history, including like during World War II. So worth a read. Yeah. But yeah, I will definitely be checking out that article.
Yeah. But back into the rundown. How far can the Vancouver Canucks go without defense? Well, I mean, I don't know how they fix the problem, so I hope very far. Like, if this Canucks team is to succeed, I mean, there's actually another way to look at it. If they don't have defense, one of the best ways to help is to not allow the puck to get there, which then may explain why you see JT Miller laying out on the ice game in and game out as if this was Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Final, which in itself, not sustainable.
Yeah. That's the thing. My follow-up question, is there a way out of the Mars mess? Like, I mean, we kind of know the answer. The answer is wait till the end of the season.
Well, yeah, like, you know, there was some thought that there would be a deal on the table. And you got to think, the first couple of weeks of the season, any deals that might have been near the table, they're gone. Like, those people did not wait for the appetizer to come out. They left. Yeah, they've gone to another restaurant.
In case we thought the Eastern Road Swing maybe got the East Coast media a look at Quinn Hughes, and maybe the fact of given his Norris status a bit of a bump also might have given them a look at Tyler Myers, which is
maybe it's all strategic on Tyler's part to give Quinn the bump. Like, you know, the media is now looking like, oh my God, this Quinn Hughes kid has to do so much with a guy like Tyler Myers on behind him.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's just, you know, strategic in that part. It's like the Vancouver Whitecaps had this, you know, campaign called Working Class MVP to describe designated player Ryan Gauld. And their argument is that most valuable player is often given to the splashiest or fanciest, you know, player, Golden Boot winners, things of that sort. Whereas most of those players don't play a full game. They score goals because they don't generally come anywhere near the defensive side of the pitch. Whereas Ryan Gauld, he runs full, you know, 100, 110,
he's
120.
the little guy, right?
He's not. I mean, he's not the little guy. He's not the big guy.
Okay.
Yeah, Kubas is the.
I think I'm still thinking Ryan Gauld.
Yeah.
I think maybe he was standing next to his tall guy, but.
Well, okay, that could be too, because you see him next to Brian White. He's definitely smaller. Ryan Gauld was also, like, when he was young, was called the Scottish Messi. Which, like, could you imagine, like, you're given the such and such Messi title? You have expectations you'll never be able to meet.
At least was Dutch Gretzky.
I know, but we didn't necessarily say that as a term of endearment. This description for Ryan Gauld was originally a term of endearment, and then it turned, sideways when the comparison was in. They're different players, like entirely different players. Yeah. But the Ryan Gauld work race next level. But why I correlate what we're seeing with the Vancouver Canucks is maybe Tyler Myers is playing 3D chess here.
Yeah, I having seen interviews with Tyler Myers, I'm not sure he's capable of that. No offense, but yeah, and let's be honest, there's some ways in which the defense looks a lot better. Philip Hronek, he's doing a decent job, and I mean, he better, but yeah, he is. And Quinn Hughes is being Quinn Hughes on both ends of the ice. But when you're trying to hide a $6 million player,
who's
6'7".
Tallest player on the ice in a Canucks jersey.
What, second or third tallest? I think he's not the tallest in the NHL, but he's pretty close. I feel like there's a 6'8" player somewhere. But anyway. Yeah. I guess my question is to you, do you reduce his minutes and he's playing on reduced minutes, lowest ice time on the team, the game against Florida. Yeah, do you staple him to the bench, reduce his minutes? Do you sit him? Or what would be your plan of attack?
Oh, I don't think you can sit him. I honestly don't know how you solve that problem.
You don't think you can sit him at all?
No.
Just because he's that,
Yep.
expensive?
Yep.
See, I'm just there's no, he has no trade value. Even if he did before, they can smell the desperation of Vancouver coming a mile away. I don't see how you're
should give him
creating an issue.
You give him away for free. There might be a team out there that would say, sure, future considerations, no problem.
Yeah, we'll take a bag of pucks.
But, I mean, if you're the Vancouver Canucks, do you even pull the trigger on that deal? That's the silly part. No, but...
I just think... I don't see how you do further damage by sitting him. Now, I'm not saying never play him again. I'm just saying there are consequences to your decisions, and playing a game like he played against Tampa, like he played against Florida, should have repercussions. And if that's sitting him against Nashville for a game, I just don't see how it can get worse.
Fair. That is fair. I don't necessarily know if it gets worse than sitting him. I just don't think he gets sat.
Gets sat. Interesting use of the passive tense. Anyway, yeah, it's interesting. I kind of think about this a lot. I think I've thought about this before with other players, maybe Bieksa. Obviously, there's big advantages to having a salary cap and for each player earning their spot and proving their worth. But, Arsenal literally sat their captain for an entire season, and he was still an integral part of the squad, but he barely played, You can't do that in hockey, I get that, but there's also just, you can be on the bench no matter how much you're paid.
Sure, I agree. And anyone can get traded too.
Yeah. I mean, highly unlikely Tyler Mice is one of those players, but it is possible.
Hey, you never know. And how are things going on down the highway?
Oh, yeah. They're doing pretty well. Speaking of down the highway, before I get into their baby Canucks,
actually, I should clarify, because there's a couple highways we talk about. We're talking about 99, not the I-5. Or, no, we're talking about Highway 1, not the 99 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one.
So before I get into the actual baby Canuck, I saw a baby Canuck today in real life, weirdly in North Vancouver.
Were they? Well, if they were there yesterday, it was to get free DQ probably, because there was apparently a Dairy Queen that opened up, and the first 100 people there got DQ for a year or something like that, or blizzards for a year.
I would say the one thing they do have in Abbotsford is Dairy Queen. So,
but if you're going to show up, it'd be one of the first 100 people to get blizzards for a year.
That's pretty good.
When I heard it on the radio, I actually was, hey, Marnie, should we go?
But funny you should say that, because it was for ice cream.
Oh, okay.
So it was Alex Canuck Liepert was in Dolce Amore in North Vancouver. And even though I live less than a 10-minute walk from the original Dolce Amore, sadly
you drove to an entirely different part of the world.
I mean, this girl doesn't drive, she's driven. But no, I did take a bus, a SkyTrain, and a boat to get there. But yeah, just because of the sad Great Fire of, I don't know when it was, a month ago, that Dolce Amore suffered. So I have to cross the water for my Dolce Amore now.
Okay, then there's an explanation that it makes better sense. I was not aware of the fire issue.
Yes, very sad. But anyway, it was great. Dolce Amore is fantastic ice cream.
I've never had the same problem. had to go a little further afield.
Yeah. I mean, it is good ice cream, so I respect the fact that he came all the way from Abbotsford for it. He didn't play in the game last night, otherwise I might have said something because it was a hell of a game. So
yeah, I heard it was like, 1980s hockey score. Chris would have liked to watch it type.
Yeah,
deal.
7-6. So Canucks opened up their season last weekend on the road in Laval, playing the Rocket. Got 2 wins. Like Canucks, one was scrappier than the other. 7-4 win followed by a 4-3 win, I believe. And then they have since played Calgary Wranglers twice. Calgary Wranglers were easily the best team in the league last year, and they haven't really lost a step. So losing by 1 goal Friday night, and then coming back 6-3 down, 4 minutes to go, and they bring it up to 6-6 with a Neil Zaman hat trick. Like, holy heck, it was exciting. Yes, I think, honestly, the depth that Vancouver has in Abbotsford is really exciting. I said this last year, but it really is exciting. Not just because Paul Cousin is down there, but just like the sort of players that are that tweener level, which is endlessly frustrating, but I think shows promise for the future. Aiden McDonough looks great. Neil Zaman, Tristan Nilsson, who has that dog in him. Origin of the dog rating that friend of the show Chris Faber uses. Yeah, honestly, they went toe-to-toe with Dustin Wolf, who is the best goalie in the AHL by a distance. Like, kind of thing that you think they literally play in the same building as their NHL team. When is he gonna get a proper look? But maybe they're just letting him cook in the AHL. But Dustin Wolf is a fantastic goalie, and Baby Canucks put 6 past him yesterday. Yeah, like, should we be concerned about the number of goals Baby Canucks are getting scored against? Yeah,
you know what? It could be that the system they have designed is to, mirror what's going on potentially with the big club.
Yeah, it's just like, you know what, goalies, you're going to face a lot of shots when you play in Vancouver. So we'll get used to it.
Who's backing up Seelovs?
Tolopilo.
Sure.
Tolopilo. Anyway, so he's new to AHL, so I think he's doing pretty well considering, but there is a noticeable difference at the moment between Seelovs and Tolopilo. Yeah, Sheldon Dries looks as good as ever. Matt Irwin, who was like maybe a flyer to make the team, doing pretty well down there. Yeah, and there was, I guess the concern is slightly Tristan Nilsson, who scored a hat-trick on Friday. No, he scored a hat-trick in Laval. Was taken out of the game on Friday. The Wrangler that did it, is that singular? The Wrangler. The Calgary player that did it. Did get a game of misconduct, but was not suspended, which is interesting. And of course, got into a fight and there's, 5 minutes because the code. But yeah, like, I forget, like, even, sorry for my long rant here, but Chase Waters, the Abbotsford captain, because he's been made captain because he's not going up to the NHL for any significant period. He is an AHL player through and through, but he's such a good AHL player. Like, he's a really good AHL player. He's never going to make it full time beyond that, but he had a really good goal. So, yeah, I would encourage, if you ever get bored of watching Vancouver defense and you want to see what's
Abby
next. Yeah, because there is still, like, Akito Hirose is doing good down there. Jet Wu, who maybe struggled with the NHL at the moment, is looking pretty good. So it's a good team to watch.
Maybe one time I will venture out to Abbey and watch a game. I haven't been out there since the Chicago Wolves were in town playing the Abbotsford Heat. That shows you how long.
Right, those were the days. Yeah. I honestly, the season finishes April 20th, so bit longer than the NHL, and I think I might be planning my birthday as like a big trip. So there you go, like get a suite or something.
Ooh.
Hey, I'm never gonna do it.
Do they have suites in Abbey?
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is a tiny rink. It is so
No,
small.
I know. I mean,
Smaller than the Thunderbird, so I don't know.
Tickets. Let me go here. They have a premium experience ticket. Let's see. Premium seating.
Premium.
That you can get suite and loge memberships or single game rentals. So they do have.
There you go.
Let's see. I'm going to learn more about. It comes in a brochure. There's the Abbotsford Centre Suite. There's the Abbotsford Centre Loge.
Yeah.
No, there's a bunch of suites. Okay. So, yeah. Suites can anywhere from 14 to 28 guests. Loge is up to 4 guests. But they do not talk about pricing.
Do I have more than 4 friends that would be willing to come out to Abbotsford?
And pay a premium?
Question. Yeah. And honestly, like, last time I saw a game in Abbotsford, the one and only time, like, we stayed out there, like, you're not getting back into Vancouver without someone being a DD.
Well, so the thing is, if I were to make that trip out, for your birthday, which, I would, though.
Although it's kind of an awkward time for you.
I would then go.
Baby Horse's birthday?
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, Anna. But if I were to go out there, I would stay out there too. And if I recall, one of the hotels that my wife can potentially get me a friends and family discount at is like right across the street. So.
Well, that's pretty good. Because we stayed like a 5-minute cab ride away, and it wasn't nice. Like, it's livable for a night, but like, yeah.
Hey, it's a hotel. It's a bed. It's a blanket.
Yeah. I've stayed in
a shower if you need it.
Hey, when I was at my bachelorette trip last week, I didn't even have a door, so.
Hey, there's some places you pay extra for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, here we are, wrapping up a week. The Vancouver Canucks are, by the definition of what I had defined, I think, an episode or so ago, having a successful road trip. They've gotten 2 wins on the road on a 5 games, so I'm apparently okay with that. Though having got the wins the way they have, and the way they lost a couple, I don't know. But hey, whatever. It's early of the season. Anna, any final words that you wish to, share with all of us?
Honestly, my final words were going to be to recommend that East Side Story book, because I literally finished it half an hour before we started recording. Instead, I'm going to recommend something else, only because I'm wearing another graphic t-shirt. Last week it was a Bachelorette novel t-shirt. This week it is for a podcast. And it says, "We get the body in the coffin, the ground on time." That's for Wooden Overcoats. It's a phenomenal, very funny story podcast. Set in the Channel Islands about 2 rival funeral homes. So if you like comedy podcasts, if you like story podcasts, give it a listen. I don't have anything else, so that's what I'm going with.
Okay. I have no final words of wisdom, but I am looking at the Abbotsford Canucks website right now. And let me tell you, the picture advertising the premium experience where they help you create memorable moments and unforgettable experiences has what I would assume are 3 Abbotsford Canucks staffers very genuinely enjoying their time and laughing at a joke while eating a patisserie, board.
A patisserie board? Like a dessert board?
Oh, no, sorry.
A charcuterie?
Charcuterie, thank you. Wrong side of the French.
Yeah. I didn't realize they had charcuterie in Abbotsford, so there you go.
They maybe they brought it in if they don't. I don't know. But yeah, go check it out. if you happen to be at this point of our show, you'll also know that you can take part in any conversation with us at any point in time with C4 Discord, discord.io/C4 podcast. And while I would be, not normally one to advertise there are other Canucks podcasts out there, a phenomenal article was put together outlining all of the different Canucks podcasts that are active, is I guess how Braden had defined it. But you can find that at, was it Stadium in Chinatown?
Stadium in Chinatown, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the blog.
And it was Braden, is it Fangler? I'm doing this by memory.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember Braden's surname. But yeah, he wrote it. He's been in touch with us for a while working on this kind of
Braden Fangler,
mammoth article about all the existing podcasts. And because we're around the longest, we get to be first. So
Yay!
It's nice.
Well, the funny thing is that we are the longest by a handful of months with Bucks on Net. We're like the two have been around forever. And then there is a considerable gap of like 5 years.
Yeah.
For the next one. And I mean, there should be fair mention to trust the process because Wyatt and Jordan, they've been doing the podcast game for a long time. It's just that they've had 7 or 8 different podcasts.
Yes, exactly. And as like everyone knows, they're dead to us. They know what they did.
They are. If you want to support us financially and help keep the lights on, you can go to support.c4podcast.com, which will take you to Buy Me a Coffee, or as we like to call it, Anna.
Buy me a pint.
And you can go and support us on a one-off basis or on a recurring basis, either monthly or annually. And again, any money you send our way is helpful and completely appreciated for. Helps us ensure that we can pay the bills because podcasting, unfortunately, is no longer as affordable as it once was when I started actually recording this 10 years ago, over 10 years ago now. Like when I read the article, I'm like, wow, I have been doing this podcast thing now for over a decade.
That's wild.
Like, to compare to radio, how much upheaval have we seen in the local sports radio market? My podcast has outlived all that.
They shut down an entire station.
Yeah, true that. So,
we survived like little cockroaches.
Well, you're not a cockroach, but I sure am. But yeah, you can check out that article from Braden. And last but not least, you can also, and I think I linked that to supporting us, but hey, support us every which way you can, including Braden. He's a nice guy. You can follow us on social media at the C4 Podcast on X. We're at the Real C4 Podcast on Threads because apparently the C4 Podcast is taken. I don't know how that works. And go to broken our website, c4podcast.com. But on behalf of Anna, A4603, myself, Chris at Lightforce, I'm signing off this episode. Brought to you by the Full Press Coverage Network and CanucksHockeyBlog.com with We Out.